Welcome in to Clear Picture Financial. Your host is Jason Noble. You can find Jason at Prime Capital Investment Advisors. You can also see them online. Great website, clearpicturefinancial.com. Jason is a fiduciary advisor, holds his FINRA Series 66 securities registration. He's a certified financial planner and retirement income certified professional with 18 plus years in the financial arena, helping his clients get ready for their retirement. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate, and good morning, Charleston. It is always about retirement. So the ESG rule and everything that's happened, it's all over the news, Jason. What does this mean in a nutshell?
Well, 401k plans and retirement plans to invest not based on where you get the best return, but invest based on ESG, based on political objectives and the consequences of that. Roughly 152 million Americans with retirement plans have been affected by this decision. Now, Bloomberg explored the nuts, the bolts, and the financial implications of those that will be impacted. The difference between ESG retirement funds and a non-ESG retirement fund. Globally, ESG funds have underperformed the broad market in the past 5 years, returning on average 6.3% a year compared to 8.9% for the broader funds.
Tell you folks, having the information in front of you, having that plan for your retirement, so vital as you're moving towards those golden years. I mean, you need to get started early with your planning as early as possible. We always like to say it's never too late, but with everything that's happening, there's so many things that are going to impact your retirement. So make sure you're ready. So ESG, you've given us some numbers. I mean, but what does it mean, Jason?
Well, this means for an investor who puts, let's say, $100,000 into an average global ESG fund in 2017 would have about $135,700 today. Well, that's nearly $17,400 less if those funds have been placed into a non-ESG portfolio. Let's just take that now over 10 years, Morgan, right? And all things being equal, that would be a $50,300 difference. This is so important, folks, and I hope you're listening because this is material information you need to know.
Well, and also, I mean, the next question is, how does it affect us? Well, I can tell you how it affects us. It takes we're not making enough money. We're not making as much money.
Well, yeah, and the impact and aftershocks of this decision are unavoidable. This is your retirement. This is your future. There's no doubt that many of the ESG funds that retail investors expect to be green are really far from that, right? Especially when you look at the big, highly marketed institutional fund managers that are selling these greenwash investments. And unfortunately, Morgan, it's likely that those highly marketed funds are the ones that are going to get into these retirement accounts.
Tell you, again, just having the information and sitting down with a fiduciary and you're able to ask these questions and get answers to your questions, there's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Jason Noble and his team at Prime Capital Investment Advisors, and you can ask your questions and you can get those answers back. And this is no cost, no obligation, simply no pressure. Well, that's not the only financial news. Guess what? The Fed. Jerome Powell, he's in the news, Jason, so give us the latest.
Yeah, he seems to be like in the news lately. So the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell returned to the podium to share the Fed's unanimous decision to raise rates even more. The Fed managed to raise interest rates from 0 to between 4.75% and 5% in just this last year. The rate hikes are the highest we've seen since 2007 and mark the 9th straight rise in interest rates. What really bothers me was when he laughed at the question from a reporter, what are the chances we're still in for a soft landing? I do not see this as a laughing matter, as the Fed was more interested in beating down inflation than helping many Americans that are really struggling right now.
Well, I mean, laughing at the soft landing, so obviously we're coming in for something a little bit harder than the quote-unquote soft. So, I mean, the goal of the rate hikes, I mean, I get it. I mean, people are very nervous about inflation. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're trying to control it.
Well, it's a rather blunt instrument, and they're trying to mitigate and counteract excessive inflation. So I understand that. But while policymakers insinuate rate hikes will be coming to an end, alleging that the worst was behind us, last week's announcement by Powell pointed to the complete opposite direction as he raised rates just yet again. And if cushioning inflation was the goal, the Fed Chair Powell and the Federal Reserve have failed to do so as inflation remains 3 times higher than it was in the prior pandemic leading some to suggest that the U.S. is headed into a debilitating recession in the near future. I guess it's no longer transitory inflation like they first said.
Well, I was just going to ask you, aren't we in a recession? I mean, we keep saying, well, we're headed there. We're headed there. A lot of people feel like we're already there. They're describing it as an approaching storm. We're in the middle of a storm. I mean, I think the recession conversation, it's real.
Well, this is where I go into personal economies. I could talk about what's going on, the global economy, the domestic economy, and don't get me wrong, those things are important. Mm-hmm. But when I'm sitting down across from a table from my clients or the people who are reaching out by listening to the show, and thank you for those that are reaching out. You having great questions and we're able to address those concerns. But when I'm looking at the personal economies, there's some of my clients that they're navigating this very well. Mm-hmm. There's others that are struggling more because of where they are in their financial situation. So my goal, my obligation to them is to meet them where they are, focus on the end goal in mind, and making sure that we're putting their personal economy in a situation to navigate this for the foreseeable future.
Tell you folks, the opportunity to get on the calendar with Jason Noble and his team at Prime Capital Investment Advisors, it's right around the corner. It's an opportunity to talk about your individual retirement situation, and want to really emphasize that. We get into retirement conversations, and there are many of you out there that have not started planning. You've been putting it off. The opportunity to sit down and come up with a custom plan that is exclusive and unique to you, that gives you the ease of mind knowing that you've started down the path. And you may be in that boat where you're already halfway down the path, but you're confused, you're frustrated, that communication's just not there with your current advisor. It's time for that second opinion. We're going to open up the spots on the calendar here in just a little bit. You can meet with Jason and his team and just, have that conversation and be able to walk out of the office, with a little bit of that ease we talk about, knowing that you've asked your questions, you've gotten answers, and you can make a decision from there. But again, planning so very, very important. So all of this that's happening, ESG, interest rates, they get bumped up again. What does it all mean for me, the retiree?
Well, a prudent person foresees the danger ahead and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. You must enter into this environment with prudence and precautions. This is why we discuss the 3 Ps with our clients: public, private, and protection. With our clear picture analysis, we focus on the assets and where they're located between these 3 different 3 Ps. Now, the public markets offer liquidity, but more volatility, and we're seeing that. That's why proper risk management is so important so you can sleep well at night. But we believe we can add a layer of risk transfer. So you benefit to you is that you can take a percentage of your portfolio and add a couple of rules to it within the protection allocation. Now, that protection allocation is where we take precautions for dynamic markets like we're in right now. We look to see how we could transfer that risk to someone else to burden that risk. And the benefit to our clients is they still participate in the upside potential, but transfer that risk to someone else. I'm just going if you're listening and your current advisor is just talking about the risk tolerance in the public markets, that is simply not enough. And you're going to be hearing the same thing. Write it out, write it out, write it out. Okay, if you're hearing that, you got to go, you're telling me there's no adjustments, there's nothing I should be taking into account when it comes to these economic headwinds that we're seeing? So right now, we're helping those who are losing confidence in the economy and in the public market as a whole. So allow us to talk about ways that we can still have upside potential with somebody else's risk. And if you're interested in that strategy, those are the listeners that we want to talk to, and they should reach out.
Tell you folks, opportunity about to make itself available. We have a certain number of spots. We only have 10 of them for the entire show. We're going to open those up, and this is no cost, no obligation, no pressure. You can kind of, the term I use is kick the tires. You kind of try it out, the test drive, see if Jason and his team is a good fit for you. And if you're in the middle of something and you need that second opinion, there are a lot of people out there, Jason, that feel like, once they've made a decision on an advisor or an advisory team, that's it. They're done. They're married. That's not the case. Second opinions are common. If you are frustrated, you're not getting communication, this is your opportunity to kind of kickstart it again. put some life into in that retirement conversation that maybe you haven't been having with your current advisor or advisory team. So a lot in the news, a lot of people nervous about what's going on. Now's the opportunity to get on the calendar with Jason Noble at Prime Capital Investment Advisors. So Jason, I know the office is very, very busy. So let's talk about what's going to happen for these 10 appointments. Again, these are 10 lucky callers during the course of this show.
Well, listeners, it's time to take action. Be proactive and not reactive to this current market environment we're in. Take the first step by calling and speaking to one of our specialists that will schedule a core values meeting. That's where we get to know your story, the story of your money, and any concerns that you have right now. We then review your portfolio using a risk-first approach. We review your taxes, estate plan, and your retirement income strategies. We want to put a peace of mind to your wealth plan for the rest of your life, providing a clear picture analysis. This review is complimentary for the next 10 callers, but you must be proactive and take action now.
All right, folks, here it is. Jason Noble and his team offering retirees and pre-retirees. It's just common sense. It's straight talk. You need to sit down and get this roadmap to retirement put together, and Jason is going to translate for you what is a complex retirement world into very clear instructions. Now, this is an excellent opportunity to get this clear picture analysis, and for anyone listening right now, we have the 10 positions, and they are no cost, no obligation, no pressure. The next 10 callers are going to secure those 10 spots. Again, this is that retirement review, comprehensive. 2 ways to do this, and we make it very, very easy. You can call this phone number, 843-743-2926. That's 843-743-2926. Or you can text his name, that's right, Noble, to 600-700. That's Noble, N-O-B-L-E, to 600-700. We talk about ease of mind when it comes to retirement, having a plan, getting started with that plan, or getting that second opinion is absolutely crucial. You need to get going on it, and this is your opportunity. Call this number, 843-743-2926, or you can text Noble, N-O-B-L-E, to 600-700.